Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to very quickly go through my rig here and do a quick breakdown of all the components that I chose that went into building my cinema rig. So very quickly, starting on the back here, I just have a standard V-mount brick battery. It's found it on Amazon. It was a really awesome price, and it's still a 190 watt amp battery. This should power this camera roughly 5 to 7 hours. I haven't field tested that yet, but based on all the reviews, it's a pretty solid battery. So plus this one has its own D-tap and USB out on the battery itself, as well as a status check. So for the features and the price, it was the one I went with. Obviously, there's some debate on brands, and Sony makes really great batteries, and Juice Box and all those different brands, which are all great. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't really see the point in buying an overpriced battery when you could get the better lens or, the better matte box with more features, that kind of thing. So I would rather buy two of these at a better price and get the same life out of my camera. So anyway, that's I have no idea how to say this brand name. I'm not even going to try, but it's got really good reviews on Amazon, so that's the one I jumped on. And my plate here is the Soonwell plate. It was, again, really reasonably priced, and for the features and the reviews, I couldn't turn it down. And I don't really need all the loaded features that some of the higher end V-mount plates have, so I just got the one I needed, and it's got obviously its D-tap on the side, as well as some other outputs that you can go to your monitor, or if you have like a HDMI splitter, or if you're running a audio recorder or anything like that. All that essentially could be powered from the same battery. Obviously, the more things that you have drawing juice from your battery, the higher capacity it should be. For me, I would just rather power the camera from the battery rather than one thing go down and, then I have to go get those batteries or something like that. So I'd rather everything kind of have its own source. But I can understand the convenience that running your whole rig off of one battery would bring, for sure. So that's standard V-mount battery. Clips down right here on the back, and right like that. And so then let's move around this side. Now the camera I'm using here is the Blackmagic production camera 4K, not the cinema camera. This has the 35mm sensor, the EF mount for the lenses. It's incredible. Shoots RAW, shoots ProRes. It has all your major connections here, Thunderbolt, the power connection here, the SDI, some audio ins. Now they are balanced 1/4-inch inputs, so they're not XLR, but to have any audio inputs on a camera like this is meant to sit alongside much more expensive cameras. So as far as the specs go, and the intent to rig it up, I would say that having any audio inputs is a bonus. And then obviously headphones and remote. So moving around the side, these handles here I ordered for the shoulder rig configuration of this setup, but they're really awesome handles. So I wanted to fit them into my more compact setup somehow. So I flipped them upside down because it's on a rosette mount, and then just slid it on right behind the camera. So now I've got kind of a turret style side handle rig here. I wouldn't necessarily operate the camera from these because the camera is very, very heavy. But as far as just moving the camera around and having a better grip when you do want that handheld documentary look, it's fantastic to have a couple of side handles on here. And because they're attached to the 15mm rods, it all just feels like it's a very solid, cohesive rig. And they're from Camvate is what the company is called. It's a rubber grip, and the rest is all aluminum with the tension bolts down here. And so moving forward, this is the 5-inch Blackmagic Video Assist. It has an SDI in and SDI out, as well as an HDMI in and out. So you could run your video signal in from your camera through SDI and then monitor out through HDMI, or both HDMI in and out. So for a client monitor or a director's monitor, it's got some really cool features. Plus, it's also an internal recorder. There's an SD card slot over here. So if you have a DSLR and you want the option to do 10-bit 422 HD 1080p, in ProRes or DNX HD, some of the larger codecs, you could put an SD card in here and actually use this as the recorder and just use the DSLR as the sensor, basically. I really like that. Obviously, I've got the Blackmagic camera, so I can do all that and in 4K, so it's not something that I use, but I can understand for a DSLR shooter that wants to take it up a notch, if you have a GH4 or even a GH3, you could use this as your external recorder, and it's a total beast. Plus, it actually has 2 spots on the back that you can install 2 of the Canon LP-E6 batteries right on the back of here and run it for a very long time. You can get some pretty high capacity batteries that way. But like I said, there's also a power output on the far side of this monitor, so you could plug it into your V-mount plate or the battery and power the monitor from the same battery system as the one your camera's running off of. So moving around the side, this is the newer, I don't know how to say it, follow focus. It's kind of their standard model, but once again, for features and reviews, it won me over. It has some very, very cool high-end features that some of the cheaper follow focuses just don't have, and this is still pretty inexpensive. This white ring is for marking dry erase marks for your focus points, but what it also has is this really, really cool feature, this little pin that flips up. This little guy, I don't know if you can see it, but this little guy that flips up, and then these two metal pins loosen and are their own ring. So if you set your focus point here, tighten it down, and then say your other focus point is here, and you can bring the other ring up to hit the pin, and now you've got an A-B point of focus. So there's your focus, and then you're going to pull focus back on your other subject, and then it hits the other point. So just having that alone is a very quick way to set a pretty spot-on A-B focus point. So that feature alone kind of won me over for the follow focus. And the lens that I have on here is the Rokinon 50mm t1.5 cinema lens. It's an all-manual lens, and that might turn some people off, but with a camera like this, that's kind of what you want. You don't want too much holding your hand whenever you're actually setting up for a short film or a commercial or something that is gonna actually allow you the time to really set the scene and set up the shot. You're going to want to control it manually anyway. So it has a stopless manual aperture ring, as well as obviously manual focus. But what's cool about the cinema lenses is it's already got the ring on here to use a follow focus with. So you don't need to add the little rubber belt that comes with a follow focus like you would on a typical DSLR lens or photography lens. Although those work perfectly fine, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. This is just an added feature of convenience. For those of us who don't mind going all manual. It's a pretty amazing lens. The glass is really top notch and the images just look incredible. So paired with a camera like this, it makes a lot of sense to spring for the cinema lens, and these Rokinon lenses are not very expensive at all because there's no electronics. They're saving a lot of money in manufacturing by not putting any electronics in the lens itself. So moving around the front, this is my favorite part of the kit. This is a Camtree carbon fiber matte box. I don't have the flags on here right now. I will include a shot with the flags on. And what I love about this matte box is they just, once again, just packed insane features in a matte box at this price point. I believe I paid like $280 for it, I believe. Now, shipping takes some time because it's international shipping, and it does not, it's not eligible for Amazon Prime. So you have to be patient, but it's worth it. This is an amazing matte box. The box itself is carbon fiber, so it's very light but very durable. And then the flag mounts on the sides here are aluminum. The flags themselves are aluminum. And one of the coolest features about this is if you pull this pin up right here, it's a swing away matte box. So you can change your lens, you can clean your lens, you can reconfigure your setup however you want, and you could leave your matte box on the rail system without kind of messing with any of this stuff. So it's just the pull of a pin and back in place. And I believe I said this earlier, but I'm going to just reiterate that this whole system is on a 15mm rod system. The rails that I have in here right now are carbon fiber. They're from Small Rig, which I'm a huge fan of. Small Rig makes some amazing products. I do have some longer rails around here somewhere. They're 18-inch rails. They're aluminum, and they're for whenever I go to the shoulder rig configuration of this setup. But for the more compact rig, save the weight where you can. And for me, you can't save the weight with a high capacity battery. You can certainly get smaller batteries, but they may not last as long. So the battery needs to be kind of heavy. The lens is going to be heavy if you're using a cinema lens. The camera, certainly, this camera is extremely, extremely heavy. So the rails is certainly a place where you can save some weight. Up here I've got, I believe they're 8-inch rails, and this is mainly for my monitor, but I've also thought about putting a little mount up here for my Tascam recorder. If I'm doing a one-man like interview or a one-man shoot, I could put my recorder on this kit somewhere and make it work. These handles for the Camvate rig also have 1/4-20 screw mounts right on the top of the handle, so you could put a little screw in here and put a recorder or bubble level or something like that on here as an added accessory. One thing to note about the matte box, it actually does have a height adjustment. So if you have a larger lens or a smaller lens or a lens that sits weird on the camera, I don't know what your situation might be, but these two little pins right here, if you loosen them, you can move the whole matte box up or down to center with the lens ring. And it also has two filter holders. So it's got one in the front that, let's see, there we go, that holds a 4x4 filter, ND, whatever. But it also has another one, I don't know if you can see this, but it actually rotates for a polarizing filter or something like that, gradient filter. So that's a really, really cool feature. Once again, a high-end feature that's included in a very reasonably and competitively priced product. So I scoured the internet and all of Amazon trying to find items that would be most beneficial for my rig without adding an insane amount of money to the money I've already spent getting a great camera and getting the right battery and stuff like that. So finding those proper items that have proven their worth, that prove to be a great product without breaking your bank, that's the trick. Because to be honest, I mean, the follow focus was, I don't know, $50. It might even $70, something like that. For under $100, you cannot get a better one than this, for sure. And I'm not sponsored, but I just know that I've used it and I love the quality and it's been wonderful since. Same with the Rokinon lens, same with the matte box, so on and so forth. But one more thing to note, the SSDs that I use in this camera, unfortunately, the way that I have this set up with the handles, I actually need to move it out of the way to get the SSD out of there. But it's a small price to pay for having side handles. But the SSD that I currently have in here is the SanDisk Ultra 2 1 terabyte solid state drive. And if you're going to be doing any substantial recording in RAW on a short film or a commercial or something like that, get the 1 terabyte. I filmed for about 15 to 20 minutes in RAW, and it was 214 gigs, I think. It's ridiculous. It uses a lot of space, but it's worth it. The RAW is insane. So get the 1 terabyte. I also have a 480 gig as kind of a backup, but the terabyte will hook you up. I don't know for sure. I haven't field tested how long this will give me in RAW, but it's enough. It's a really good amount of time, especially if you have a second one like a 480 gig or even another terabyte. You take your laptop with you, dump one while you're filling up the other, and then you'll be good to go. So I think that's about it. Yeah, thanks for watching. This is my little cinema rig, and I'll see you soon.